Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Welcome, Fearless Freedom Family. This is Dr. G, and today we have ST Rappaport with us, and she's going to tell us all about who she is and what she is up to. ST, you want to tell the audience?
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here speaking with you. I am a relationship photographer and a creative journal expressive arts coach. So I take pictures of people in their ultimate state of love and connection, hang it up on a wall like a vision board, and then we journal about it with their non-dominant hand to access their emotions and like be able to understand themselves and like overcome challenges. And I also host the Life Picks Relationships podcast. So all things relationship and self-development.
Awesome. Wow, that sounds like so much fun. And so I was intrigued by that because the whole thing of utilizing your non-dominant hand. So for me, I'm right-handed. Now, for someone who is left-handed, this is also the case. Like when they utilize their right hand, they still have that connection to their emotions. Is that how it works?
Yeah, because you're still creating new neuron connections that you've never made before. So your mind has to think in new ways. And also we live in a very logical world, right? Like from when you go to first grade, you're reading and you're writing and everything is like logical and you're using very much the left logic part of your brain. The right side of the brain is the like creative side, right? With the music and the drama, and that's also the emotion side. So for people that are righty, it's easier to understand. You're then using when you write with your non-dominant hand, you're using your left hand and you're accessing your right brain. But for people who are left-handed, it's a bit harder to get it, but we're still in that logic brain. We're still in that way we run our lives is logic. So it works for everyone.
Oh, that's awesome. And then, so tell me, how do you get people to be relaxed enough so that you can actually capture emotion when you're actually taking their picture? How does that work?
So first of all, I just let them be. Like literally, like there's no like telling them, okay, stand like this, stand like that, do this, posing certain ways. Literally just like go have fun. Like sometimes I'll even like I'll go back to my car, let them have some fun. 10 minutes later, like sneak up from behind them and just take pictures, you know? So it's really natural what you would do in a regular case. And now once I started adding in the journaling with it is before we do the photo shoots, we journal about with their non-dominant hand what they want in the photo shoot and what they could do in case they get nervous. So they're prepared for it when it comes.
Wow. And then, so here's the golden question, because I'm sure everybody who's listening is very intrigued by this concept because it's very different, right? And so, they're wondering, where are you located?
I am located in central New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
I do travel until like Corona hit, but I do also online. So it's
so
something that is not the photo shoots part, right?
Okay. I was like, wait, how does that work? Tell me more. I would like to know.
Right. So I can't exactly do it, though I have seen people during this pandemic do this whole thing of like Zoom photo shoots and things like that. Not so my speed, but I'm really like impressed by how people like pivot in these difficult situations. But really you could take any picture that you like, right? So whether from your wedding, your honeymoon, something that really shows that emotion, and then just journal about that picture. So it doesn't have to be, obviously it's a different experience and it adds, but if not, you could find other pictures. So anyone could do it at home.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. So do you have like a set clientele, or is it that, how do people learn about you? I mean, obviously they can get in contact with you and learn about, what you do through the podcast. But what if they've never heard a podcast? What if they've never even heard this concept? How does that work? Like, how do you reach people?
Yeah, so it started with photography. So for me, like that was the easier way to get people into this really weird thing because people are like, hey, like, what is this non-dominant hand things? It's just like interesting. Like, I know I was weirded out by it in the beginning. I'm like, this is weird. I don't journal, especially not with my non-dominant hand. But as soon as I understood it and I was like, okay, now I get the answers that I'm looking for, I was really intrigued and I like loved it. So, and that way it made it easier for me to get people like social media and stuff. But really, it's a lot of word of mouth because it's so powerful and people realize how awesome it is. Like afterwards, it becomes like their go-to thing that they talk to everybody about.
That's fantastic. That's the best way to get people to your business, right? I mean, word of mouth is so powerful. So that's awesome. Now, there has to be, because, we have to talk about fear, and that is the crux of this show. And there has to be some trigger that kind of got you down this path. Was it a fear that you had? Was it, something that you experienced? Like, what was it that drove you to start doing this?
So for me, that's a really interesting question on a very personal level because I used to say my whole life, like, I just don't have fear. Like, I'll do everything and I'll jump down cliffs, do these crazy things. Like, I wasn't scared of anything. Like, even in school, those little bugs, like, that wasn't for me, But when I started my business, I was like very much starting like on the side together with other things, like with my other job. And only once I got into the journaling, right? I was already doing photography for quite a number of years. And only once I got into the journaling and I really was able to understand myself on a very, very deep level. And I'm constantly learning still. It's like a really deep process of like peeling the onion layers. Then I realized how much of my life was ruled by fear. That I was doing this photography and it was like almost full time, but it wasn't full time. I was like still hanging on to the other part. And I was like not doing certain things and I was like, okay, now I'm the one that says I'm not, like, I don't have any fear. Didn't associate my name with fear. Like, Estee's not fearful. Like, where does that come in? And as soon as I was able to like look at it in the face and say, okay, no, there is fear here and you're going to go straight at it. That's when I got to really move much faster.
Wow. And so you recognized it, so which is the key thing, because a lot of times we do not recognize the fear that we have. And we wonder why we are stalled, right? We wonder why we haven't done the things that we said we are going to do. We wonder why we haven't gotten to the places that we said we'd be, we'd be by the time, whatever. And so that's awesome that you recognize it. Now, now you said that you faced it head on. What did you do? What was the first thing that you did? Did you do something like quit your other job and put yourself in on the lam so that you'd have to make it happen? Or like, what did you do?
Okay, so first of all, I had this tool, the CJEA journaling tool. So it made it much easier for me because I was never stuck with what I do now. Once you know how to journal with your non-dominant hand, the way you do it is you ask the questions with your dominant hand, thinking logically, and you answer the questions without thinking with your non-dominant hand and just like let your emotions answer for you. Then you never really get stuck with an answer because majority of the time your body just answers for you. It has the answers, and as long as it feels that you're ready for it, it will tell you the answers. So I was never like, okay, now I have this fear, I don't know what to do. I always like, if I was ever stuck, I had my journal to go. So that was really helpful for me. But yeah, like you said, like I quit my other job. I like put certain boundaries with different people in place to make sure different things would happen. And I set myself really concrete goals that this is what we're doing to make it happen. Yeah, like didn't care, doesn't make a difference. You have these goals, these are here, and like, it's too bad, we're doing this.
Awesome. That's fantastic. That is a great methodological way to approach it, and it's good that you had that tool already in place, because a lot of people don't have that tool. They don't have anything that allows for them to, put their feelings in a place where they can analyze the feelings or even work through the feelings. And so, that's great. That's great that you had that. And so tell me, had you always been into photography, or is that something that you acquired recently?
Yeah, it was something I've done like from when I was really little. Like I got paid for photography probably since I was 12, like yeah. In college I rented a studio and did pictures there. So it was always something that was part of me. And then it slowly became into relationship photography that happened later on.
That's a great way to set yourself apart from, because I mean, there are a lot of people who take pictures, right? A lot of people who dub themselves photographers. And so to be able to shine amongst a large group, having that uniqueness is key. And so that's awesome. I'm glad that you have that. And it's very fascinating. And
Yeah, I remember
I
like
know
when
I'm intrigued by it. So, definitely.
yeah, when I started, like, and I all of a sudden had so many people coming to me, can I do family pictures or lifestyle and everything else I was doing before? And I was like, no, I'm not. People were like shocked, like, what do you mean? I'm like coming to give you your business and you don't want it. I was like, but those people that want to come for relationship photography, they're all going to come running to me and they're going to know that this is what I specialize in and this is what I do. So yeah, like not just doing everything, but really focusing on what I like so I couldn't put my best and the clients could get the most out of it.
So now I know there has to be a story. So you told us how you basically got attracted to photography from an early age, and you basically is evolved to the point where when you're in college, you have a studio. I mean, amazing, fantastic. Now, how did you get involved in podcasting? Because, podcasting is pretty awesome. You and I know
I
that.
love it.
Right, right. And I try to tell people that all the time. And so, but how did you get into it? Like, how did that happen?
Okay, so I was doing relationship photography and we was doing these vision boards and it was really cool. People were really liking it, but it doesn't really solve problems by the end of the day. Like it could train your brain what you want, but what happens when you get into the actual challenge, right? So starting from that mindset, I began doing a whole bunch of other things to help with these couples to go and do these stuff, right? So like, let's say I got into this journaling, I was looking for something else, and then like we journal with the pictures now, and now we could like overcome these challenges and find out the answers. So another thing that I did was this podcast where I get to meet all sorts of people, everyday people, marriage therapists, all sorts who just could give their best advice and real tools on how they got and made their relationship extraordinary and then put it out there so other people can also.
That's awesome. That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yes. So the Fearless Tribe is listening to everything you're saying and they're taking it in. And my daughter is putting a thumbs up in the corner of the screen there.
She is having that kid.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So basically, what I was going to say was that, this is tremendous. You basically did a personal development move. You got to that place where you said, you know what, this is going to be my path. I'm going to manifest, my destiny, or you're going to basically, cater to the pain point that my tribe didn't even know they had through this unique way of doing photography. And it has paid off. So kudos to you, because there's so many people who are currently listening, currently in a situation, maybe they're thinking about starting a business, maybe they have a skill set and they're just not quite sure how they can have a niche within that skill set, because maybe it's a venue, or maybe it's a field that is largely populated, right? And I mean, photography is pretty populated,
Oh yeah.
but you found a way to make yourself stand out amongst the crowd. And so that is the key. And how did you find that way? Well, you figured out, you dug into yourself and you figured out what you needed to address. And because you figured that out, you established a pain point that your audience didn't even know they had, which is incredible. And so it's a perfect, almost like a facing fear manifesto, because it's a perfect example of what happens when you do dig deep and you do personal development. Like, all these amazing things can get revealed, and at the same time you start to figure out what it is that you're going to do to make an impact on the many people, right? Not just your own impact, but those around you. And so I applaud you for that, because that's not something that is easy to do. Number one, it's not something that is well known as far as what people actually do, because a lot of people don't do personal development. They don't do journaling. They don't do introspection. They don't read things that are going to be beneficial to their mindset. They just don't do that. Why? Because it's just not something that society puts forward as a common activity to do. And it is such a powerful thing because, as you have shown, that the journaling that you did just really took you to a place that allowed for you to tap into something that is a complete gem. And now you're able to share that amazing, concept with many people through your work. And you get to be on a podcast, you like get to share it even more. Not only are you impacting those in your immediate surrounding, but you're impacting people all over the world through amplifying your voice, through your podcast, through your work. Amazing. So thank you for that. Because, we need people who are doing things like this, who are going to be making a positive impact on the world. We need it, especially now. There's so many things happening in 2020, and, having positive impact is just so important for our minds, for ourselves in general.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. That was like a whole load of stuff. But yeah, it's really just that it's like being open to what else could I do, right? So like thinking of in that niche, like what else can I do in that, and then going for it. Like not being fearless literally, and just going and doing it, because like I said, that's when the real stuff happened.
Amen, sister. Amen. Yes, that great stuff happens beyond our comfort zone, which we tend to want to be in. We want to be in there like, oh, comfy with the blanket. Nope. Got to shake that off and step on out there and put your feet on the coals. Like, is it Tony Robbins that does that? I think Tony Robbins does the feet on the coals.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to put those feet on the coals and make it happen, because wow, when you get off the
yeah,
coals.
that was an example of something I wasn't scared at. I was at Tony's event, and like people were like, he prepares you really well, but people get like really scared before. And I was like, hey, this is cool. Like, I'm not scared. And it didn't make any major difference for me, because that wasn't fear. Like, I didn't care. But there were so many other ways that I was like completely blind, and like how I was fearful. So yeah.
Yeah. And that speaks to how we are, how we view fear is different, right? It's very personalized. How we approach fear is also very personalized. So for you, that's the walking on the coals at Tony Robbins event is literally something that thwarts a lot of people. It's like, it's a showstopper. They're like, whoa, what do you mean I have to walk on coals? Like, I can't do that. But for you, that wasn't the case, but there were some other things that you were afraid of that, kind of stopped you. So it's amazing, like how personalized that could be. Awesome. And so tell us, so here's what we got to do. We got to make sure that people have your info. It's going to be in the show notes, but I want to make sure that they hear it from you, so that in case they're not in a place where they can read the show notes, they can reach out to you, they can listen to your show, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to give your info?
Yes. So my show is Life Picks Relationships, all major platforms.
How is it spelled though? Because it's not spelled.
Yeah, it has like interesting spelling. Life, LIFE, PIX, relationships with an S in the end.
Awesome. I want to make sure they find you. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, there's good stuff there. And if you want to contact me directly, the best place would be is to go to Life Picks Relationships. Now you know how to spell that. .as.me and schedule your appointment.
Awesome. That is fantastic. And so did you, here's one last question. So you mentioned a lot of things you actually alluded to this. You alluded to pivoting, and you alluded to how people are learning to pivot, or maybe they're not learning to pivot during this time that we are facing, where it's just, we're in a crisis. There's some adversity here. There's some things, some stoppers that may thwart progress for those who are in business or thinking about starting a business. Now, was there any way that you pivoted during this time? You said that you don't used to travel to appointments, and now obviously you're not doing that, but how else have you had to pivot during this time?
Yes. So obviously the first one was to move everything over Zoom, right? So even like all those sessions in person with everything, whether they would come to me or I would go to them, that's all online. But that was, I guess, something that I think every single person in the universe had to do. But it was more like also pivoting my actual work with what I was doing, because let's say for starting with a podcast, you're going to want different information for people when they hear about, like, in quarantine, there's more specific type of people. You can't give people advice, go on date nights when everything is shut, right? So that sort of thing, or even when I was doing this journaling with clients and finding ways that they need specifically for now and how they could go and use these tools also for the future. So I think that was the biggest pivot I had to make.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And did you find that during this time that you still had the same amount of clients? Did you end up having more? Because some people have had more business now, and so I don't know, how has that been for you?
Yeah, for sure had more, but it was more of a different type, meaning there was less photo shoots. I couldn't do photo shoots, but more people who were open to do just the journaling part. We had more of that. And I had like tons of more time to do podcasting, because photo shoots take a whole lot of time. Like us, journaling is like you sit down, you have the session, and it's over. Photo shoots, like there's all the editing afterwards and all the traveling involved and things like that. So it's been great. I got to meet so many new people. Literally best part of podcasting for anyone out there who's interested in starting it. But yeah, it was great.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you on that. Podcasting, and people, and the tribe hears me talk about this all the time, but literally the reason why I really love podcasting is what you just said, ST, because it's something that, like you and I would never have met had it not been for podcasting, right? I mean, you're in Jersey, I'm in Michigan, you're doing photography, I'm a doctor. I mean, there's no, like, we probably would never have collided, right? We don't go to the same meetings. We don't, all that stuff.
Right.
And so, podcasting has this amazing way of connecting different worlds. Like it's a great connector. It really is. And it puts us all kind of on the same page, because, you could have somebody who is like a giant in whatever their field is. So they could be like an economics giant. And if they're a podcaster, you don't feel uncomfortable reaching out to them and saying, hey, do you mind coming on my show and talking? Or they don't mind reaching out to you across, platforms, across, specialties, and saying, hey, do you want to come on the show? So that is, not only is it a great way to amplify your voice, like you've expressed, sharing with the world your zone of genius, which you are doing, but it's also a great way to connect with others who you would not normally connect with, no matter what their status, which is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Like we're all in the same space, but even like, Kate, every podcast is different. Everyone's special in their own way. But like we're all podcasting and we all have mics and we all like it's fun. I like it. I really do.
Yes, indeed. All right, good. I'm not the only person that feels this way because I think my tribe thinks I'm nuts because I'm always talking about it. Like,
no, it is so true.
But it's true. I promise you, it's not hype. It is so true. So fantastic. Oh man, we're having such a great coffee talk today. All right. So, Esty, this has been awesome. And I thank you so much for sharing about your special niche, because, I think that there are so many ears and eyes, because it's also going to be on video. It's going to be on the YouTube channel. And so there's so many ears and eyes that are now going to be open to your craft, which I think is phenomenal. So hopefully you're going to get like a huge wave of customers as a consequence of this appearance.
Exciting. I like that afterwards, because then
great.
I really feel that people leave afterwards with tools that they could have for a lifetime. Yeah, I'm not here to like stick around with you forever. Give you those tools and go run with them.
No, that's fantastic. Because you want to definitely you want to leave people with something that they can utilize beyond your encounter. So that's fantastic. All right, awesome. So we are at that place of the show where we are going to do our fill in the blanks. This is our tradition on the show. Are you ready, Esty?
I am.
Okay, awesome. All right, so the first one is, if I am fearless, I will
be able to do anything and everything I ever want to do.
Love it. And then the next one is, to me, fearless freedom means
enjoying every second of my life.
Beautiful. And last but not least, my battle cry is
just going for it, listening to intuition and going for it.
Fabulous, fabulous. Sweet. Well, thank you so, so much for taking time out of your busy day and being on the Fearless Freedom with Dr. G podcast. Love it. And I hope that we will have lots of people within the Fearless Freedom Tribe check out SD Rappaport at the Life Picks Relationships podcast. Okay.
It's great speaking with you and just like getting to speak to your vibe and hearing all your awesome things. I love it. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.